We have presented a comprehensive account of what constitutes emotional sobriety and how it can be achieved. We have tried to do so through a close reading of the Big Book, The 12 and 12, and Bill W.'s letter as published in Emotional Sobriety, The Next Frontier. This has necessitated lengthy explanations and extensive citations of passages from said AA sources. It may therefore be helpful to conclude this long post with a summary of the main points we have made about emotional sobriety. Since we have already presented the supporting arguments and passages from the relevant AA material and referred the reader to the relevant chapters in Volumes 1 and 2 of Practice These Principles, we will be brief and try to keep it as simple as we can, hopefully without reducing and oversimplifying the concept. With that caveat in mind, we will highlight 12 basic points. 1. Emotional sobriety is defined as an established disposition to experience right emotion in any given situation. Established disposition references a stable, consistent, and habitual tendency to so experience emotion. Emotion references a concern-based construal of a situation. Concern references something we have an interest in, care about, or value as important. Construal references the way we see, perceive, or view how that concern is affected in a situation. Right references a construal's rational, moral, and spiritual fit to its situation. 2. It logically follows from this understanding of right that the rightness of an emotion is a function of the rightness of our construal and the concerns on which it is based, which is to say that right emotion depends on right caring and right seeing. 3. Applying this same understanding of right to Aristotle's criteria for right emotion, we may say that we have achieved emotional sobriety to the extent that we are able to experience emotions naturally and consistently for the right reason, cause, toward the right object, people, places, and things, with the right motive, purpose, at the right time, occasion, with the right speed, not too quickly or too slowly, to the right degree, no excess or deficiency of intensity, and for the right duration, not too short or too long. 4. This would indicate that we have come to a point in our recovery where we care for the right things, for the right reason, at the right time, in the right manner, to the right degree, for the right duration, and in their right relation to each other. 5. Such rightness of heart and vision proceeds from a spiritual awakening that transforms the way we see things and the things we care about and makes God and His will for us our highest concern and the lens through which we see ourselves, other people, and everything of moral significance in our lives. 6. Such a spiritual awakening is the result of practicing the principles of the 12 steps in all our affairs, which is to say, in all situations involving right and wrong, doing good or doing harm, helping or hurting. 7. A lifelong endeavor, such a disciplined ongoing practice is what creates the new habits of heart and mind embodied by the spiritual principles, principles that represent God's will for us, and which manifest themselves in right caring, right feeling, and right living. 8. After we have worked through the 12 steps the first time, it is then most effectively continued through a synthesis of steps 10 and 11, where we combine self-examination with prayer and meditation to probe deeply into our hearts, from which spring the self-centered concerns that generate our defects of character and emotion. 9. We continue to take personal inventory of ourselves, paying special attention to our emotions and combining the rational and analytical approach typical of an empirical search with the approach of a spiritual one, where through prayer and meditation we seek knowledge of God's will for us in the relevant situations and the power to carry it out. 10. To the extent that 12-step spiritual principles can be said to represent God's will for us, His moral will, that is how we are to live, to that extent doing it becomes most fundamentally a matter of practicing those principles in all our affairs. 11. Indeed, that they represent His will for us may be the most logical explanation of what makes them spiritual. It may also be the most logical explanation of why their practice can result in a spiritual awakening whereby doing God's will for us becomes our highest concern and the lens through which we come to view and reorder all our other cares, thus giving a God-centered foundation to our emotions. 12. Emotional sobriety is a product of such a spiritual transformation, for that is ultimately what enables us to care for the right things in all the right ways, and thus to experience right emotion, with right finally coming to be understood transcendentally as in accordance with God's will for us. Emotional sobriety is achieved gradually, one emotion and one situation at a time. Hence the need to have a good working understanding of the basic emotions, how we can take inventory of them, and what principles we need to practice to reorder and realign them with God's will for us to further the good in all we do. We explore these things in the posts that follow.